when our partners say, okay, the client will be reaching out to you, we go through an underwriting process with them, which is not intensive. It's probably 10 questions. Literally, it takes 2 minutes.
This is your real estate expert, Juliana here. I am thrilled to have with me today Paul Cantiani Jr., the CEO and Director of Cantiani Insurance. Good to have you, Paul. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I feel good. Everything's good.
Awesome.
How are you?
I can't complain. By God's grace,
Good.
We are good. Very good.
Good.
So in this video, we want to find out from Paul more specifics of home insurance. Why do we need home insurance? What do we need it for? And we know that the loan officers require that we get home insurance. But apart from that, I would like for you to tell us, why do we need home insurance for?
Sure. So, mostly to protect your investment, obviously. The banks mostly need it to also protect their investment. So usually they'll require a minimum to cover the loan, the mortgage on the property. So, God forbid, in the instance that there was a, total loss or a fire, that that person, that owner of the property, is going to be able to reconstruct the home and continue to live there and pay the mortgage and make sure that note is satisfied. But in general, what you need it for, obviously, is to protect yourself if you ever do have a catastrophe and need to, keep the house up and rebuild it or fix it up, whatever the case is, so you can keep enjoying it.
Okay. So basically, what does it cover when you have a home insurance?
Lots of things. So, people have a general idea that it's kind of fire. I don't know where that comes from, fire only, but, it covers fire. It will cover water damage from, say, like a burst pipe. Any outside water coming in is considered flooding. That would need a separate insurance for flood. But you have fire, it covers wind, hurricane, water damage from burst pipes, falling objects. So, a tree fell on the house. Covers theft of contents. If there was ever a robbery and they stole personal effects in the house. Multiple different things, lightning, all that fun stuff.
Okay, that's awesome. So you do have some minimum, like if you're buying a house and you have to buy home insurance, that's always a minimum required and you can do more. But normally, what is the minimum required that you have to, insurance amount that you have to have?
So we really don't have any products, and most insurance companies don't, where you can choose the amount per se. So there's what's called reconstruction estimators that we do with every one of our new clients, and it's based on the square footage of the home, number of bedrooms, bathrooms, the finishes. So generally now, since COVID, actually, the reconstruction evaluations are much higher, because everything is costing more, So right now, insurance companies range from insuring properties between $225 to $275 a square foot. So basically, those are the parameters we follow, so example, if it was a, 2,000 square foot house, we would probably insure it for right around about 500,000, 450 to 500,000. Because in the event that the property is to, burn to the ground, the insurance companies have to pay to reconstruct it. So that's how they value the properties, basically.
So if somebody's buying a home and they come to you for insurance, and that's what we work with you a lot, you help us with our home buyer insurance. What are some of the things that you do for them, and how do you advise them to get the right insurance?
So we with our experience and how many home buyers we help, and I have a great team with me, in general, what we do is we really cater the quote and the estimate to what we would recommend them to have. And that includes some extras that normally the general consumer wouldn't know about. And then I also do knowledge them on what is optional and what they can remove and what it covers. And we kind of usually give a couple of different options. You know, a recommended quote that we feel comfortable as professionals that if anything happens, they'll be okay. And then sort of more of like a basic quote that's doesn't include all the bells and whistles, but is still going to make sure that the home is protected.
Okay. All right. So the other question I have is, what do you require when I come to you for home insurance? What do you need from me?
So with our partners, our real estate and lenders, you know, a lot of the times you guys like to get just an initial idea, right, of the price for the client. So what we need in that situation is name, date of birth, current address, property address. Very simple, right? Once I derive a price, what I always disclose is there is underwriting requirements, just like a loan, you know, or any other process in life where, you know, we have to screen to make sure that the initial quote we provide is accurate. So when the client, you know, when our partners say, okay, you know, the client will be reaching out to you, we go through an underwriting process with them, which is not intensive. It's probably 10 questions. Literally, it takes 2 minutes. So that's how we would handle it with our partners. If we have direct referrals, which we get a lot of, you know, leads come in daily here direct, we would do that screening up front with the customer. It just makes the quote that much more accurate.
Okay.
But
so
not a lot of questions.
I've realized that okay, you don't have that much question, but I realized that sometimes you want to know what improvements have been done in the home lately that you're buying and things like that. What are some of the things you like, the electrical and the plumbing, that matters to you?
Yep. So updates. So insurance companies require updates pretty much within 25 years.
Okay.
So, you know, plumbing, heating, electrical, roof. Roof is a big discount. If you have a newer roof, most of my companies, probably 80%, are discounting between 10 and 20% off the premium if it's within 5 years. So that's a big one. And then, you know, as far as underwriting, you know, I think it's silly, but, you know, we need to check on animals. You know, if there's any breeds of dogs, you know, that can kind of kick out. Only certain markets will insure. And again, the reason we do this, we don't want to make it complicated, but I've seen situations where if there's a fire and the insurance company finds out that the owner of the property had a specific breed of dog that would have disqualified them from insuring that property, I've seen them deny fire claims because of misrepresentation. So, you know, we need to make sure we're disclosing everything, you know, regardless.
So disclosure. Now, what about safety? Or things like if there's a pool, and what are some of the things that has safety issues, becomes a safety issue?
Sure. So pools, and I'll talk about trampolines too, they've got pretty lenient with actually. So pools, above ground pools, as long as they have a retractable ladder, if they're not built off of a deck, if they're just in the middle of the yard, as long as they have a retractable ladder that pulls out, you know, that's fine. In-ground pools, they require either the property to be fenced or the pool itself to be fenced with a locking gate. Some companies will insure diving boards and slides. Can't be the Olympic diving board that's 100 feet in the air, but you know, just a normal diving board, they're okay with. And then also, you know, the slides are okay with some companies as long as it goes into the deep end of the pool, you know, as well as the diving board, obviously. So, you know, the pools are okay, not too much of a problem there. And again, as an agency like ours, we have multiple companies. So we we're a little different than some where we have a lot of options. And then, yeah, the trampolines just have to be netted nowadays. So as long as there's a net, pretty much is okay with
most. Do people pay a little extra for all these, for if you have a pool or trampoline and things like that?
So some companies have small upcharges for pools, but not many. Okay. Not for trampolines. Also, some companies upcharge for water pellet stoves.
Okay.
The supplemental heat, but it's few and far between, maybe 1 or 2 out of 15 of our companies.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'll let you go, but I have one more question about flood insurance and flood zones. You said in the beginning that if the water comes from inside, it's okay, it's covered. But if it's coming from outside, then you should have a flood insurance, or otherwise it wouldn't be covered. So can you tell me a little bit about flood insurance and flood zones and the differences in insurance?
For sure. So flood zone, if you see an A, it's bad news. Any A zone is usually considered hazardous. The bank will require it. If it's an X, as an X-ray zone, or C, that's a non-hazardous flood zone, and flood insurance is very affordable if you want to buy it. The other big thing with flood is there's 2 types of flood insurance. One is backed by the federal government. It's called NFIP. And then there's ones that are backed by private insurers, larger insurers. If you're obtaining an FHA loan for a property, they're going to require you to have federal flood. If it's a conventional loan, you're eligible for private flood insurance. And I had one the other day that was $5,000 a year for federal flood and $800 a year for private. So it's very, very different in pricing.
Oh, okay. Okay, so how is the inflation affecting, somebody was telling me with the inflationary problem going on, it's affecting the insurance quotes?
It's getting there. So a couple of my companies, maybe about 5% of them, they're starting to value properties a lot higher because of the cost of goods going up. They haven't really all turned the curve, but I'm pretty sure it's coming, where they're just going, because they're obviously spending more money than they should be. If they're insuring a home for $300,000 and they end up rebuilding it for $450,000, they're not collecting the premium they should be. So you're gonna see the values that they're gonna require start going up, which is obviously gonna increase premiums. It's gonna protect people better, but that's kind of what we have going on right now. They're not all there yet, but they're getting there. They're slowly coming around.
So for people that have insurance already on their homes, are they underinsured? They have to be checking to make sure they are well insured.
So insurance has what's called an inflation guard, and that's on your home insurance and on everyone's home insurance. So what that means and what it is if your home is insured for $300,000 or whatever number, they increase it by 4% every year, no matter what, the value, to protect against the cost of goods rising, right? So if someone has been with the same homeowners provider for 10 years, they have that small inflation. It might not be enough to cover what's going on now, in the world, but I would say if anything, they should definitely reach out and check the value if they've had home insurance for a while.
Okay. Thank you very much. So the last thing is mortgagee clause. They ask you, what is the mortgagee clause? What does that mean when you try to buy insurance?
That's basically, layman's term, is the address for the mortgage company that they want listed on the property. The reason they want to be listed on the property is if there is an insurance claim, they want to make sure that they're on that check, because if not, not that they would, but the homeowner could take the check and go to the casino. So now the bank, is making sure that they're going to use those proceeds to fix the home so they can still, live there and continue to pay their note.
Okay. Thank you very much. We appreciate you answering all these questions. I hope this information is useful to you, our viewers. Subscribe, like, and share our channel. We bring videos every week, and thank you for watching. Thank you, Paul. I appreciate the conversation. Hope to
You're
talk
very
to you
welcome.
soon. Okay.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate
All
it.
right. Bye-bye.
All right. Good. Thank you.
You too. Bye.